In this video, I'm going to build a Jabber C Mark V custom build. I will be explaining everything step by step, and it can be used for other builds as well. Step number 1, assemble the frame. I am skipping this step because it takes a lot of video time. Step number 2, unpack your stack and whatever comes with stack. Then take the standoffs and screw it to the frame. Next, what you gotta do is test if everything is fitting fine, both ESC and FC. Next, unpack your motors and attach it to the frame. Make sure the screws doesn't touch the winding below the motors. This is my final result. Next, what I like to do is secure my motor wires with a special motor wire protection. This is how it looks as a final result. After that, I would like to apply some flux on the pads and thin the pads of ESC. Then what I like to do is cut the wires according to the length. In my case, I want the wires to go from the inside out, so I'm rolling it around the standoff and then cutting it. This is the final result after the thinning the pads and cutting the wires. Then it's time to thin the wires. After thinning the wires, it's time to solder it to the pads of the ESC. Then make sure you solder it in the same pattern as you cut it. This is my final result. Next, we have to attach power cable for battery to the ESC. For that, I like to cut one wire shorter than the other because I want to make sure this wire goes on the side of the drone, and in that way it will be easier to make it sidewise. And make sure to tin the wire after cutting it. The plus, which is red, is easy to solder, but the minus, which is ground, which is black, is a little bit harder to solder. You can take some tweezers because the wire will get pretty hot. In case if a factory tin is not getting melted, you can add your tinning wire to make it match up with the tinned pad which you had tinned before. Add capacitor, I usually add a little bit more of solder on top of already soldered power wire, and in that way we don't need to melt the entire solder just to add a capacitor. This is the final result. Before going to the next step, make sure that everything fits snug. Next, I would like to wire up a VTX. In this case, it's TBS69, so it's VTX and RX in one. The wire comes with extra pins which is not required for most of the use. Next, tin up the wires of VTX, which is receiver at the same time. Next, tin up the pads on the FC. So I'm doing it from below of the FC because I want it to be as clean as possible, so no wires should be visible from the outside of the drone. but in this particular FC it's not possible because the TX pad is not reachable from below of the FC. So out of all the wires, on one wire has to be on top of the FC, and the rest wires can be soldered from below. And when you plan for wiring, make sure that none of the wires touch the gyro of your FC. After wiring everything up, I would like to secure whatever has to be secured with zip ties or cable ties. This particular frame comes with special rubber dampeners for cameras, FPV cameras, so I'm going to use that to install the camera. Next step is wire up the camera. Don't forget to tin up the wires. After soldering of the camera is done, do not forget to roll the wires together because that will help you to reduce noise on your video, because the video signal wire will be covered with ground, and that will serve it as a shield, and also it looks cleaner. Plug the cable to the camera, and now it's all done. Secure the FC with the nuts. Test everything with the battery. Don't forget to plug all the antennas and check with your goggles or if you have a screen. Before plugging the battery, obviously I checked it with multimeter, but I forgot to switch on my camera. After making sure everything works perfect, you can now install the top plate. I was not able to record the flight footage of this drone because something happened with my memory card. It died on me. So just believe my words, it flies amazing even on stock Betafly tune. If you want a drone which will fly out of the box, this is the way to go. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you want me to build a drone for you, please let me know in the comments below, and see you in the next one.